All right, getting ready to clean these bongos. Just wanted to show the materials that I'm going to try today. So first up, I'm going to clean half of these drums, well, half of one drum with, this is just a damp rag. I tried to wring out as much water as possible so it won't harm, won't get the drum head wet. And I'm going to try that versus a paper towel, see if I just dampen that just slightly and then just wipe the other side of that, the same drum. And I have some cocoa butter and some lanolin cream, and I'm gonna try half of the drum, again the other drum, the two halves of the drum with those different, to see the different results. Now with the oils and the cocoa butter and the lanolin, I'm gonna let these sit on the drum for a couple hours and then try and wipe off the drum and kind of see if it was successful in softening the particles and seeing if it comes up easily. And so let's get started. All right, first up I'm going to be using this lint-free cloth, supposedly lint-free cloth. And it's slightly damp, as I mentioned before, and I'm just going to do this half of the drum and do a comparison with the paper towel to see what gives a better result. I've detuned the drums so they sound really low, and that is because anytime you're applying moisture to drum head skins, it's going to change the elasticity. It's going to stretch them out or cause them to constrict as the water evaporates or oil. So I'm just detuning them to beyond what I'd like to play them at, just so as they tighten or constrict that it won't, or loosen, I should say, doesn't cause any problems. So let's try this out and see what happens. So already there's like this kind of this gunk here on this corner. I should say first off that I don't, these drums, I've had them for a while, but they are actually relatively clean. I wouldn't think that there's a problem, but for the sake of science and just trying to find out for y'all what is the best cleaning method, I'm just trying this out. But yeah, there's definitely still some dirt and gunk that's collected here, so let's try this out. And it's coming off a little bit, but also the drum head's kind of fraying, so I don't know if I want to continue using this. I'm going to be just really gentle and try and not scrape up the skin. Wow, you can tell a difference. Look at that, that's crazy. I'm not going to try and rub the emblem because it's already peeling. That's going to come off pretty easy, so I don't want to, I'll just lightly brush it, but that's it. I don't want to spread that around. All right, well that was like no effort at all. I was very gentle, and you can see a really stark difference between the two sides. So you know how I was just saying that these drum heads aren't dirty? I take it back, I was lying. But I don't really like getting this, scraping that, because as I'm doing it, you can see that the skin itself is kind of peeling, and it wouldn't be worth it for me to ruin the drum heads. So I'm just gonna let that be. All right, let's try the paper towel. All right, now that we've used this on the left side of this, of the macho, we're gonna try just a really lightly damped paper towel and see what the difference is. The drum head is definitely getting a little bit moist, and there's definitely some dirt coming up. So this is what I was thinking would happen, that the paper towel is starting to, disintegrate, which is going to cause little lint balls on the drum. So I'm just going to try and use the other side. Cool. Well, that looks like a new drum head. Well, and I wouldn't say new, but it definitely looks a lot cleaner. Wasn't really anticipating that. So let's try and get at the corner here. Before, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like the drum head's kind of peeling when I apply a damp cloth, so I'm not gonna really force that. So we just did the macho, and let's do the hembra. I am going to start with this cocoa butter. It's from the Dominican Republic when we were out there. And so this is, you know, basically these just hunks of cocoa butter. Probably couldn't get too much more natural than this, so I'm gonna try it out. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my hands to warm up a section because it's like really hardened quite a bit. And instead of like applying it directly, I'm just gonna use my hands, and I think that that is gonna be plenty. So I'm even gonna get off some and scrape it back into the bowl. Okay, so now my hands have this cocoa butter on, and I'm gonna just apply it on that left side to give kind of a comparison between that and the lanolin. So that's what the drum sounds like. I'm kind of curious what it's gonna sound like after some cocoa butter's been put on it. That didn't go very far, so I'm gonna add a little bit more cocoa butter. So while I was taking that video of the cocoa butter, my phone started ringing from an important, caller, and of course my hands are covered with cocoa butter, and I couldn't answer. And I tried to push the buttons on I tried to push the screen on my phone, and it wouldn't register. So that was pretty funny. But anyway, I'm going to put on this lanolin cream. Lanolin is, this is particularly used for breastfeeding mothers, and it comes from the oil from sheep wool. So definitely it's been used for a long time for skincare products, and so I would imagine that it would be very safe for bongo drum heads. So I'm going to, it's really thick stuff, so I'm going to rub that in a little bit. And we're gonna start massaging that into the drum head. And this will be, I think, probably better as a way to get at the crud on the edges, because when I just had the damp cloth, it doesn't look like that went very far. When I had the damp cloth, it was, or the paper towel, it was kind of peeling the edges around the drum head, around the bearing edge. So this might work better. We'll give it a shot. You might see like there's these spots on the drum head. That came from my son. He is only a few months old, and he drooled on the drum head. And so there's these like little blank spots. And so in case you're wondering, drool is also an effective way to eat through your drum head. There isn't any visible damage, but it's definitely cleaner where his spit was. So that's cool. It definitely feels like this is getting more into the drum head than the cocoa butter, and because the cocoa butter just felt like it was mostly getting on my hands. You can tell there's a kind of a sheen on this side of the drum now. All right, that's stage one. As you can see, the dirt definitely came off a lot easier on the macho than the hembra, but it's not supposed to. You're supposed to put on this oil and then later try and just wipe it up with the oil after it's had a chance to soften the loose particles, the dirt particles and stuff. So we're gonna come back to this a couple hours later and see how that goes. All right, it's been a couple hours. Now some people, when they're recommending this method of cleaning your drum head with oil, they recommend to wait all night. But for sake of time, and I've got lots of things to do, and I want to play these bongos today, I am just doing this. I'm just waited a couple hours, so take that into consideration. So we can see that the macho, the smaller drum head, is a lot cleaner, and I would even say that it's cleanest on the left side, and this is the side that I used just a damp rag, this one, and the other side I used a paper towel, and so you can see that the paper towel wasn't as effective. It's kind of subtle, but you can see it at certain angles, like, okay, yeah, definitely the damp rag did a better job of getting some of that dirt off. And you can see that the lanolin and the cocoa butter it looks like even, I'm not sure how in the process, but the left side with the cocoa butter looks a little cleaner. I think it's because the lanolin was put on a little bit heavier than the cocoa butter. So I've dried off the rag with a blow dryer so that we're not mixing things up, and I'm going to wipe down first the cocoa butter side and then the lanolin side. So I put this cocoa butter on and let it sit, and the theory is, as it has been explained to me, is that the oil seeps in and loosens up the particles so that when I come back later and wipe it up, the dirt and grease will come up as well. And it looks like there is a difference, not a major difference. I'm having to apply some elbow grease here to get that dirt to come up. But on the other hand, even if it's not as effective at getting the dirt up, it's definitely, like, as I'm scrubbing or wiping down the edges, like I don't have that same peeling effect that I had with the water. So I definitely feel like the oil is less hard on the drums than the water is. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, so you can see that the left side is a little bit cleaner. So let's try rubbing up that lanolin side. I'm going to flip the rag over. Right. As you can see, the grease is coming up, and it's kind of flattening the rag. So we're definitely picking up some of that grease that we put on earlier. All right, let's take a look. It seems to be a very subtle difference between the before and after for this drum after I used oil to clean it up, as opposed to this one. There was a really strong difference in the before and after. So if you're really wanting to get the dirt up and off of your drum head, then a very slightly damp rag will do the trick. Be very careful, as I was noticing that as I was using the rag on the corners or on the edge, the bearing edge of the drum head, that the skin was peeling, and that's probably not a good thing to do. But anyway, it was very effective in cleaning the drum head. And also make sure that you detune your drums before you use water, for sure. I would do it if you apply anything to your drum head, but especially water, because just the skin is going to be tightened and loosened a lot through the process of getting, saturating the head, or even just dampening the head, and as it dries. So make sure that your drum is detuned for that process. And for this drum, I used oil. It did seem to make a difference. Like there's not such a marked difference between these spots, but it seems to be very subtle. I wouldn't say that I've gotten off the dirt really in comparison to this drum. So fortunately, I'm okay with that. It's not really a big deal to me, but I just wanted to kind of experiment for those of you who have drums in worse shape than mine, to kind of see what the results would be. So hopefully that's helpful for you as you're cleaning your drum heads. Now for the body, these are LP Aspire, so these are fake. It's like a fake laminate, but the drums look really nice. You can, just as you would any wood furniture, you can use on the sides, but just be very careful to not. I would steer clear of touching the rims or any of the hardware, but if you're trying to just polish the body itself. Yep, there you go. And if you have any rust on the tuning lugs, then you can use any
a cleaner that, you know, this is where you have to be careful to not touch the drum shell or the rim or the drum head, but you can apply, WD-40 is good for removing rust, or any other kind of, or maybe 3-in-1 oil or other kind of lubricant that can just, you know, help get that rust to pick up. But WD-40 I think is a good option for removing that rust. But again, you probably want to saturate your rag or paper towel, shop towel or whatever you're using to get the tuning lugs. Hopefully these aren't getting rusty. That would mean that your bongos are being exposed to water, and that wouldn't be good. But hope that's helpful for you, those who are trying to make their bongo drums look a little nicer. Hope to see you guys next time.